Now that we've got our linked list constructor put together, we're going to start thinking about the first method that we're going to assign to the linked list class. Before we look at any documentation, let's make sure that we enable the test for the method that we are about to write. So inside my linked list folder, I'll find the test.js file. I'm going to scroll down a little bit to the second describe block, which says describe.skip, and then we're looking for the words insert first. So I'm going to highlight the .skip part right here. So here's .skip, and I'm going to delete it. So it should be simply describe insert first. I'll then save the file, and then I'm going to flip on over to the terminal, and I'm going to verify that I have one test failing right now. And it should be something about insert first, blah, 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 blah. Cool. I'll now close out my test file. We will be reopening it in just a little bit, but we don't need it right now. So let's now go back over to our browser and find our directions.html document that's going to give us a little guide on what this insert first method is supposed to be. So again, the method name that we're going to implement right now is insert first. Insert first takes some amount of data as its only argument. Remember that data in the context of a linked list can be any type we want. So it can be a number, a string, an array, an object, anything that we want to store in a linked list. The purpose of insert first is to create a brand new node out of that argument data. So we're going to create a node out of data right here, and then we're going to assign the resulting node to the head property of our linked list. So as we saw in the last section, when we create a new linked list, it starts off completely empty. So we can use this insert first method to sort of initialize the linked list and get some initial node inside of it. Now the other thing I want to mention here is that this is supposed to be an insert method, not an overwrite method. So if it turns out that the linked list already has a node associated with the head property, we should not be overwriting that node. So we don't want to delete anything here. We want to add an additional element to it. So let's take a look at that in diagram form just to make sure it's really clear what's going on. Okay, so I'm going to fix up this diagram a little bit. So we're going to imagine that you and I create a linked list, and it looks like this right here. So it has one node and nothing else after it. Then let's imagine that we take this linked list and we call insert first on it and pass in the number 456. When we do so, we should first create a brand new node. So let's imagine we create a new node by calling the new node constructor and pass in our piece of data, which is 456. We should then break the reference between head and the existing node. So we can basically break that reference. We will take the new node that we just created. We will assign it to the head property of our linked list. And then the most critical step is we need to make sure that we now repair the reference between this new node and the old one. So that's what we're doing here. We're creating a new node and sticking it at the front of our list. So now we have two nodes in total. Again, insert first is an insert method. We are adding something. We are not overwriting any nodes here. Now, before you think that this might be a really tough challenge, let me just remind you about the node constructor that we just put together. So our existing node constructor right here takes as a first argument some piece of data, and then as a second argument, we can pass in some existing node, which will be assigned to the next property of the one that we are creating. So think about the operation that we just did here with insert first. We said that we wanted to create a brand new node, which was the 456 right here, and we wanted its next property to look at the existing node in this chain. And then we wanted to update the head reference. So that first part, everything up to updating the head reference, was kind of taken care of already by our node constructor. And so all I mean to suggest here is that maybe there's not a whole bunch of code that we need to write this insert first method. Okay, I would like you to give a shot on this one by yourself. Remember, we just enabled some tests, so you can put together the method inside of our linked list class right here, and then you can double check the tests over in the terminal to make sure that everything is working the way we expect. If you get confused or if linked lists still seem pretty intimidating, and honestly, I totally expect that they are right now, Always remember, you can just skip directly over to the solution in the next video, and we will walk through this together. So, quick break, give it a shot, and we'll go over the solution in the next video.